You guys get to land at LaGuardia?
We used to get to land at LaGuardia
That's a
once in
blessing
a while.
right there. That's
Not
a
all the
blessing.
time, but on occasion. There we go. Thanks for sitting down with us here in the Cadillac Club. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Last year, a bit of a challenging year for the team. You still were able to put up 46 homers, 118 RBIs. You were kind of able to fight through some of the challenges that the team faced. Going into the offseason and then taking the offseason into this season, anything you learned from last year and had specific goals maybe coming into this season?
Honestly, I think the biggest goal I've had coming into this year is just being available every single day. I think being available and being able to play 162 games, I think for me that's the ultimate goal, because I want to be able to help this team win. In order for me to do that, I need to be out there every single day. So I just want to continue good form and not try and do too much on a day-to-day basis. Just focus on being better than the team we're facing day to day. Not look at the big picture. And then after the 162 games, I just want to impact this team in a positive way and hopefully help us get to the playoffs.
Well, you continued to impact this team in a positive way. You hit your 200th career home run this season. We're talking about Ryan Howard, Aaron Judge, and Ralph Carney, the only three guys to do that any quicker than you did. You said it was mind-boggling. Put us into your shoes right there, and what does that mean to you? Is it something that you had ever thought about going into that point, or is it the emotion of the moment to say that it was that mind-boggling?
It's mind-boggling because I think there's 25,000 or so big leaguers that have ever played at this level, and to be the fourth fastest guy out of everybody is pretty incredible out of all the years that Major League Baseball has been going on. And then I know at 200 it's a big deal. I think there's only 318 or 316, I can't necessarily remember the number. There's only a certain amount of guys that out of those 300 guys that have hit 200 homers. I mean, it's just the numbers are completely stacked against my favor or any guy's favor that have played or currently playing. It's just really it's very, very humbling, and it's just when you look up, it's like, wow, it's really, as a kid who grew up just loving the game and wanting to play the game as often as possible, it's really incredible to really think on that, and for as quick as it's happened, it's really special. In your career, what is one of the things that you are most proud of that your average fan may not know? It could be like making a play or like a specific play that's important to you that kind of like went under the radar for some others.
Wow, actually, I've never been asked that question. That's a good one. I think the thing that probably goes unnoticed more than anything else is that, I mean, I was a catcher growing up. I was a catcher in high school, a catcher in college, a catcher in the minor leagues, a catcher at the big league level, and got moved to first base and then to third base. And I was a terrible third baseman at first, and I worked very hard to become an average third baseman, and at times a better than average third baseman. Mm-hmm. And the career numbers don't necessarily show that because it's a progression, but I think the thing that I'm probably most proud of that is, under the radar is that I really took pride in and worked hard to become a guy that could be out there every day, mm-hmm. and be serviceable at third base when it was something that was going to the moon for me originally, from comparatively to being behind the plate. As a kid growing up, is that all you wanted to do was play baseball, or did you have other things that you thought you might be as good at or wanted to kind of go down a road, or was it always baseball for you? I
played a ton of different sports growing up. I loved football. I loved playing lacrosse. I played soccer and basketball at times, and I had some. I loved riding bikes and doing just regular kid stuff. But for me, it's just baseball. There's just affinity for. And I've always had it, and I've always been kind of a student in the game or just researching stuff and just knowing like things about other players. Like I wouldn't say I was a huge card collector, but like for me, I love following different players.
Who was your favorite?
My two all-time favorites growing up as a kid were Mark McGwire and Mike Piazza. Those are my two favorites.
And why? Home runs? Was it power that intrigued you about them, or was it team affinity?
Not just the homer and the power, it's just the hit ability and the presence in the box. Like, it's really crazy. Like, when those two guys, when they stepped in the batter's box, like, stadiums have like a certain buzz about it, but those guys had the ability to quiet the buzz because everyone is paying attention to those guys when they step in the box. It's really special. People ask me all the time about like my favorite hit or my favorite homer. What was your favorite moment? It could be a walk-off, it could be a milestone. What is your favorite moment in the box?
God, I think New York Mets, 2000, come here, we have a great season, a great chemistry on the team. We make our way through the Giants, get to the NLCS against the Cardinals. Cardinals, old team of mine, didn't leave there on great terms. I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, playing them. I had pretty good success against them in my career to that point, but I really wanted to have an impact in that series. And so my favorite moment in the box, I think, was Game 5. We're playing at Shea Stadium. Hampton's dealing. We got bases loaded and a couple of outs. And I have a long battle with Pat Henkin and hit a line drive off the top of the wall in right center field, clear the bases. And that was really kind of the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
That they knew they were done and we knew we were going to the World Series. And so the emotions of that, standing on second base, I can remember Shea Stadium, which you would have loved an opportunity to play at Shea Stadium because the stadium literally moved. It rocked.
Right. And
in that moment, I stood at second base, and it was so loud. I think they were cranking Who Let the Dogs Out, and the fans were going crazy, and my teammates were going crazy. And I can remember like even covering my ears because it was so loud, but the ground was shaking. So I think that was probably the moment that was, as a pure baseball moment, being in the box, that's the one that kind of sticks out.
People have this huge just affinity for Shea. And I feel like that because of that, there's so much history. So, I mean, this ballpark is super beautiful, but I think what makes Shea so awesome is the memories and the history attached to it. Do you think that's kind of what there's...
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about because, like, you talk to Mets fans and, like, Shea was home. Shea was it. And the reality of it was, as a visiting player especially, Shea was like, we got to go to Shea. It's dark. It's dingy. The ball doesn't carry. The planes are flying over. You don't want to be in Shea. And they'd run out guys like Doc Gooden and Ron Darling and Bobby Ojeda and David Cohn at you on a regular basis. So it was not a fun place to play. When I finally got the opportunity to play for the Mets, it was a totally different transitional kind of attitude. And you recognize that other teams didn't like to come in there because you had good teams that they were going to have to face, but Shea became like a 10th player to us because we loved it. We knew it. It was home. It was kind of the little 10th player that we could kind of have on our back. And so Todd Pratt used to, Sluggo, Todd Pratt used to be a very vocal backup catcher for Piazza all those years, but always great enthusiasm. I'm sure you know guys like that.
Yeah.
And every time we landed LaGuardia right here.
You guys get to land at LaGuardia?
We used to get to land at LaGuardia
that's a
once in a
blessing
while.
right there. That's
Not all the time, but on occasion. But we get in the bus, whether it be LaGuardia or JFK, and we'd get, coming around, and you could see 2 o'clock in the morning, you could see the side of Shea and the little neon figures on the side, and Pratt would always say, "Boys, there it is. That's Shea, that's our home. We embrace our home." And it was like a ritual that we had going into that, especially in that 2000 season, where it felt like when we were coming back here to play, look out, whoever's coming in. I saw you on stage with Zach Bryan at UBS. 2 questions. A, how did you get to know Zach? And B, New York is a different animal than everywhere else, and you've really shown that you're taking advantage of New York City. Is it something that you've had to kind of grown into embracing everything about the city, or was it something you thought, hey, I want to do, and it just became natural to you?
Well, listen, if Zach Bryan asks you to come on stage and sing, you don't say no.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, okay, I hit in front of this many people on a night out basis, so I know the words to the song. I'm just going to pretend like I'm singing in my car.
Were you guys personal friends already?
I mean, we know some mutual people,
got it, okay.
But then I got to meet him, and I would say that we're at the early stages of friendship.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yes.
so you jumped up as a...
No, he knew I was at the show.
Yeah,
He knew I was at the show. We knew some mutual people, and he's like, hey, you want to do it? And I'm like, well, if you're asking, then yes, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
You're a brave man. Okay, so then embracing everything else. I see you at the Polo Bar. I know you do Broadway. I know you love police and fire department in the city. You've been very embracing. Is it something that just came naturally, or is it something you had to kind of work into and be able to figure out how to manage? Because playing in New York is a little different than playing everywhere else.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is just enjoying what you can. I mean, everything's great in moderation. I mean, yeah, going to a game at the Garden, watching the Rangers play, love that. You have to have a great mix of enjoying the city and enjoying what it offers, and then also be mindful of work. I will say, when I went up there, I was a sober gopher singing, so it's like I knew I had a game the next day.
Of course.
And I was like, okay, I showed up. I went 2 for 4 the next day. Not that I remember, but it's because I knew if I did that, then it's okay, I can't stink tomorrow. I gotta show up. And I think that's the one thing that I always do. It's like I want to enjoy everything, but also I want to show up and be the best I can be and enjoy the city. So you played with so many dudes. What's one guy where, whether that be routine, aura, and just overall performance, that you're just so impressed with? Because it's really hard to have that continuous amazement over the course of 162, but especially if you play with guys multiple years, what's one guy that you played with and you're just like, God, I want to be like you when I grow up?
Wow. Man, oh man, that one is tough, because some of the guys that I admired from afar, I mean, I think I never played as a teammate of Barry Bonds, but Barry Bonds, PED scandal notwithstanding, was the best player I'd ever seen. I watched him play in college. We played against him in college, watched him play at the big league level, watched him just become the best hitter, best player overall that I'd ever seen. When I went to Texas, I was a catcher, and so I was always in awe of other great catchers. I had a chance to play with Mike, obviously here. Mike had a year when we were together with the Dodgers where he hit 360 for a catcher with 40
insane.
Jacks, and somehow didn't win the MVP. But that was one of the most amazing years I'd ever seen, and him as a hitter doing things that I'd never seen before. And then in Texas, which is where I was going to go, Pudge Rodriguez as a catcher that could play 140 games behind the plate, 30-30 as a hitter, and be the best throwing catcher the game's ever seen.
Right. And
watch him do it every day. It's 110 degrees in Texas. And he had to fight Johnny Oates to not be in the lineup. Johnny Oates would be like, dude, you're going to fall apart. It's 110 degrees. We got to give you a day off. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. So, and he ended up winning the MVP the year we were together in 1999. And so that was one of the greatest years I've ever seen. And that was great mad respect for what he did, because he was so good on both sides of the ball and such a great teammate and clutch player on a really, really good team. We're going to do something we're calling rapid fire.
Okay.
Quick, off the cuff. I know you always wanted to be a baseball player. If you weren't playing baseball right now, what would you be doing?
Probably rodeo.
Rodeo, love it. All right, do you have any experience there?
Nope.
Nope, you just
love it.
All right.
Steer wrestling's my favorite event.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right, got it, love it. All right, best rivalry in sports. Doesn't have to be professional sports. Could be your collegiate sports. What do you think, best rivalry?
Ohio State and the school up north.
The school up north. Okay, got it. To this point in your career, you've had a lot of great moments. What is your favorite moment?
One of my favorite moments was giving Max Scherzer a beer shower after his 200th win.
Oh, cool. Love it.
I mean, we clinched the playoffs, but that was really special, because it's very rare where you get a put a veteran in the cart and give him a beer shower. So
Yeah.
that was super fun.
I know you like to grill. You get on the grill a little bit, right? What's your
Yes.
favorite thing and your best go-to grill meal? And will Haley agree that it's good?
Yes. So I love to do, steaks are easy, but I really love to do ribs.
Okay.
Really love to do ribs.
Take a long time to do the ribs?
Long-ish. I would say like 4 to 5 hours is the sweet spot, but if you get too long, or if you go too long, it can be iffy. But I think 4 to 5 hours, that's the perfect amount of time.
Nice. Loved it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you for taking the time, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.